Hi, I'm Leon Haasbroek, and I'm the founder of LJHPR, a fashion and entertainment publicity company in South Africa. Started seeing fashion as a possible go-to place where I wanted to be from a very young age. I played a lot with creating pens and pencils with hair pieces instead of your normal toys that you would play with as a child. The people would see my creativity from there. Slowly growing up through life, I realized that I had a keen interest in clothing, specifically not necessarily trends, but how clothing makes a person feel. I unfortunately was really badly teased at school, probably because I was a little different than what everyone else was, and I kind of looked to fashion or to clothing as a outlet. I would say that I started really wanting to be in fashion when in 2002, when I boldly went to my mom and dad and said, I want to go to fashion school. And my mom and dad said to me, that's not going to happen. There's not enough money in the industry. I need to go and study PR. So I said to them, not a problem. I will go and create a collection, and I'm going to go to the Durban July. I'm going to go present it at the Durban July. They thought I was crazy because, of course, Durban July was one of the biggest events that happens in Durban in fashion, coming from Margate. And I entered. The first time I entered the Durban July, I came in the top 12 for my collections, and thereafter I came in the top 10, and I actually was placed 8th out of 2,500 designers. Without any design or fashion understanding of how garments are constructed or anything like that, I just took the garment and I presented, and pretty much that's where fashion started for me. What I like about what designers are doing at the moment is, in the past we were very focused on designing with African print. Now it's becoming more of an aesthetic and a design element as opposed to an entire garment. One of my favorite designers at the moment is The Closet. And the reason why I like what they do is because they take an African print and they build it within a garment, which makes it modern every day to wear. And I think that that's what's so important. Fashion in Africa is that we have so many different cultures influencing each other to be able to give us a garment you will never be able to find anywhere else in the world. Fashion in Africa is that we have so many different cultures influencing each other to be able to give us a garment you will never be able to find anywhere else in the world. I always wonder to myself why people or why designers get ecstatic about supplying garments to local businesses instead of trying to push the boundaries and to try and offer it to brands like Macy's and Nordstrom and I think a lot of people also say that it's way too difficult to do that. I've just come back from China and I've realized that the world is our oyster and we are what we make of it. Look at the years basically at the same level as what Elite Model Search was. The thing that I took away the most is how structured China is in terms of fashion. It's influenced my entire view on fashion. I think that it's influenced my entire perspective on our industry. In terms of what it meant for the girls to attend, taking into consideration 500,000 entries, only 60 were able to go to Look of the Year, and of those 60, we had 8 representatives from Africa. These girls competed with 52 other girls, worldwide, from France, China, Japan, Shanghai, America, Canada, and our girls came back with 2 wins, which was a big step for us, I think. We came second and we were placed 8th. And I think that what was the most important thing about this whole experience was the fact that we allowed the girls to be exposed to the international market, taking into consideration that the agents that were at this competition were the likes of Why Not, Ford Models, Donna Tokyo. We're talking about the biggest model agencies in the world that were able to see see our girls. We've been able to place one or two of the girls with a great agency in Russia called Number Model Management, and they are very excited about our girls to put them into castings for Paris Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, and a whole bunch of other really amazing advertising platforms. I think the next big trend globally is definitely already here. I was chatting to a friend of mine yesterday who's an editor of an online magazine, and we were just dissecting trends. As a fashion publicist, I don't really see myself as a trend setter. I see myself more as a trend promoter. So we were dissecting this conversation, and he came up with the word ugly. And then it took me to my favorite brand, as you all can see, Versace. It took me to the new Versace sneakers that we've got going around. And let's be honest, if we look at the terms of shoes and where shoes and footwear have come, those are ugly sneakers, but everyone is like scrounging for these sneakers. I think that grunge is going to make its way back as well. Not as hardcore as what it was when Vogue highlighted it with our gorgeous Grace, but I definitely think that grunge is going to come back. I think that we're also taking elements from all the past centuries and combining them to be able to do a collab of what we as street stylists would put together. For instance, what I'm wearing today is elements of militants, normal clothing, a little bit longer, pair of stockings, men's stockings, and I've basically put it together. I think that what we're also doing future-wise, I think that stylists and fashion editors are teaching us that we depict what fashion and style is. We take items, and I think that's another thing we need to stop doing, is going to Fashion Week and looking at looks, and rather looking at pieces and pairing them together to give us our looks. Locally, I think the trend is pretty much going to be very similar to what we are at the moment, our own style, our own aesthetic. I think in South Africa, the one element that influences fashion in this country is the street. If you go and stand in the middle of Braam on a Friday at between 11 and 1, you can see how street fashion is influencing and having a trickle up as opposed to a trickle down, a trickle up process where editors, fashionistas are all going, wow, this is incredible. So I think that where we are locally is definitely street influence. I know that a lot of fashion experts have an opinion of it, street being the influence across the globe. But specifically here in South Africa, I think that we really take everything that we need and home it from the street. Focus on what's beautiful, focus on what you're good at, and if you do your job, the industry will work.